Welcome to Hood Champion Boxing and Sports. And boxing, you find a way to win or you find a way to lose, man. That slap has caused Claressa some serious headache, and she may not realize it yet. Now, Alycia Baumgardener did come out here, man, and, she did have something to say about Claressa Shields, thinking that, her putting her hands on her was just going to get brushed to the side. Baumgardener came out. She did a live. And in this live, y'all can go check it out, man. I think she's on TikTok. She's like, let me tell y'all something. If you think I was going to let shit slide, and if you don't think who's going to get the last lash, just wait on it. Because one thing about me and the Lord, patience and how I do things. So she's letting the world know, yeah, Claressa slapped me. But, I'm not letting that shit go. Now, listen, let me see. Read what she says again here. Because I'm telling y'all, man, this shit is about to hit the fan. So I'm finished, but let me tell y'all something. If you think I was going to let shit slide, and if you don't think I was going to get the last laugh, just wait on it, because one thing about the Lord, one thing about me, I'm patient for the things that I do and how I do it. So watch. So when she's saying watch, all right, that was just done a couple of days ago. Now what that means to me is she's telling y'all watch because there's something brewing. You got to understand, when an altercation involving two high-profile athletes become public, there are usually two battles that begin immediately. The first battle plays out on social media, and that's what we've been seeing. The second battle, if it exists, which it does, according to Alycia, it plays out quietly. And that's why I say right now there's a calm. So the people like Claressa Shields and her team, they probably think there's not much going on because everything's kind of quiet. All that means is there's a storm brewing, you know what I'm saying? But the social media battle and that second battle, the legal route, they operate very differently. Social media is very immediate. It always is. It's right in your face. It's emotional. It's loud. It's driven by public opinion. That's why so many people are saying Alycia won the case and won the lawsuit. And look, no, she didn't, because it's still in process. That's a slow process. You know what I mean? And plus, if she won, I'm sure she would have said it. So if she doesn't say it, don't believe it. Okay? And Claressa would have had something to say if she won, or if it got thrown out or whatever. Claressa, so both of them would have said something. But you got to understand, the legal system is deliberate. It's evidence-driven, confidential in many stages, and often much slower. And all the evidence in the world is right there. The whole world can see what happened. This is a case Alycia Baumgardener can easily win. Easily win. So for those who are like saying that, oh, she already won, or those saying, oh, she should say more, why? If she says anything more, she could mess up there. All she needs to do is sit back and let it play out, which is what she's doing. You got to understand who's involved with this. It's not just Alycia, Jake Paul, Netflix, the whole MVP brand, and all the connections Jake Paul has. There's a lot of people that's behind this right now. You just watch how it plays out. That's all I'm going to say. But the difference is important. And that's why I'm doing this video, because many people assume that if nothing publicly happens within a few days or weeks, that nothing's happening at all. There's some people like, hey, Hood Champion, Alycia just ate that. She's not doing nothing. She's soft. That's why I don't respond to people like that, because y'all the ones who wake up in the morning and are just sitting in the house with doing nothing and just out here talking out your ass because you want to see drama. Look, that's the most ridiculous thing that I've heard people say, man, to try to engage me in a conversation. That's why I don't respond, man. This shit doesn't just resolve itself in a few days. Something like this, you let that play out. You know what I'm saying? It's a much slower pace, but the public wants to have the conversation. They want to have something to talk about. That's why they start spreading all these rumors about who won the case. Oh, it's been thrown out, or Alicia's not doing nothing, or the GOAT's running scared. And it's fun. You can have fun. The conversation's funny and shit, but it's not true. But what I'll tell you is true is when a person who says they were assaulted publicly states that the matter is being handled legally and tells observers to wait, there are several possible interpretations. None of them by themselves confirm that a lawsuit has been filed or that any particular outcome is inevitable, but you better believe there's something going on because Alycia Baumgardener is saying it. So no matter what you interpret, just go with what she says. Like, there's no other way for me to take it except she said there's going to be legal action and she's telling us to wait. That suggests to me that Claressa is going to get sued or something legal is coming her way. So let's just sit back and see how it plays out. But again, back to this. What does it mean when someone says, I'm handling this? Legally, I'm handling this. When someone says they're handling matters legally, that often, to me, is a signal that they don't intend to litigate the issue in public through interviews or social media. They have nothing to say to anyone about it except, like she said, just watch. And there are several reasons why someone like Alycia would take that approach. Because they've consulted with an attorney and have been advised not to comment further. And I'm sure the attorneys that she's consulted with, they got all the power in the world and they looked at that and said, this is an easy one. But they're probably taking their time. Now, this is me just conversating now. This is where it's a big, big problem for Big Vote. They're probably saying this is the opportunity to not just get her for the assault, but they're looking at any and everything she's done online. The stuff with Franchon, back and forth with fans, all the videos, all the stuff that she's put out to paint her a kind of way. She wanted to be the villain. I am 100% sure that's what they're doing. They're like, no, we got her by the goat balls. We got her by the 2 gold medals that are hanging. We're going to get her. And they're taking the time and just putting together their case. And when they hit her, man, she ain't going to be able to do nothing because they're going to use her own words, her own videos, her own bullshit. They're going to use it against her. And it's going to be bad. Because that shit shock boxing. And people can say what they want. It's just women. It's just fighting. It's not a big deal. Nah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. You know what I'm saying? But I wouldn't be surprised if when Claressa gets hit, what I'm going to consider it the death blow, she may try to resolve that shit privately. She may say, let's settle out of court or let's do this. And Alycia may say, nah. She may do it like Cardi B did Tasha K. I'm going to show you. You know what I'm saying? They may be evaluating whether to pursue civil remedies, criminal remedies, or neither. But it doesn't matter because if Alycia and her team don't want to go that route, they're gonna stick it to her. And I just think it's really important. Saying I'm handling it legally, that doesn't mean a lawsuit has already been filed. It simply means that legal advice is being sought and options are being evaluated. But from watching that video the other day and going back to what she said is going to be handled legally, when she said just watch, that tells me that something's in the works. You got to understand the power that Jake Paul has. He has a lot of power. And then Netflix have a lot of power. And people don't like Claressa Shields right now. They just don't like her. Now, for public figures, lawyers often recommend limiting public statements. That's why she probably shouldn't have said that. But, she got to give the fans something because people, I'm sure she gets bombarded with questions all the time. What's going on? What are you doing? I'm sure she sit back and just like, I'll give them a little bit to kind of, beat down the flames. But she knows that anything said publicly could later become relevant in court or a settlement discussion. So she's not going to give us what we want. But you see, this shit with Claressa, as much as some people may not agree, Claressa is famous. Alycia Baumgardener is famous. They're both considered high-profile individuals. And when you have high-profile cases, they often appear quiet. but the legal action's coming. Many people expect legal matters to move quickly, you know what I'm saying? Because they watch social media moving things along. Look, social media has already said the case has been resolved, which is bullshit. Legal systems generally do not move that fast. They just don't. And in high profile matters, attorneys may spend weeks, they may spend months gathering video from multiple angles, interviewing witnesses, preserving electronic communications, requesting documents, assessing damages, and determining the strongest legal strategy. You better believe they're reaching out to Netflix, reaching out to YouTube, on the internet, looking at the stuff Claressa has on Instagram, what she has Snapchat, Twitter, everything, every social media platform, and interviewing witnesses. I'm just telling you, you got to sit back and watch, and they're developing the strongest legal strategy. And I think they're really going to make an example out of Claressa Shields. It's not going to be nothing nice. I really feel that's what's coming. Because this was in a large public event. And you see, if a large public event was involved, additional sources of information may exist, such as security reports, credential records, and venue policies or broadcast footage. And if they go and they start going after these different sources of information, maybe they find additional things. Maybe someone heard them plotting. You don't know what they're going to flush out. But the bottom line is the public, they often see very little of this work because much of it happens outside the spotlight, which is where it's supposed to happen, away from the spotlight. But silence should not automatically be interpreted, or I would say like one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? It may simply reflect that professionals are doing their jobs. And that's why Alycia, her job is just to be quiet right now. Be quiet, enjoy life, and let the professionals handle it. You see, I don't think people understand the significance of the event that was taking place, the first MVP MMA event. It involved major promotions. And when you have events involving major promotions, very, very different. Netflix, MVP, that's all I got to say. When an incident occurs at a major sporting event, there can be more stakeholders than just the individuals involved. And I keep saying that, and I'm going to keep foot stomping that. It's not just a Claressa Alycia Baumgardener thing. This is a key stakeholder thing. And we talk about the key stakeholders. They're way much bigger and more important than Claressa and Baumgardener. So depending on the circumstances, parties with an interest, they're going to include the promoter, the venue, security providers, insurers, broadcasters, sponsors, and legal counseling representing various organizations. So each of those parties has different responsibilities and interests. This means they could be really looking at win record. There's a lot of things that could get exposed here. Dimitri Salita, they could look at them too, because these are people who are associated with them coming to this big MVP Netflix event and acting the fool. And people could get involved and review, okay, what's the we have a protocol. Maybe they had a conversation with them since she was invited as a guest for MVP for Netflix to sit in the MVP section. Maybe they spoke to about certain things, and she just chose to go off script and do what she wanted. You know what I'm saying? Who knows? Maybe there was some security procedures that were violated. Maybe she went to an area that she wasn't supposed to go. But now they're looking at, potential liabilities and different things. So there's a lot that could be looked at here. And depending on what they find out, there could be more stuff added to the lawsuit. Because we don't know. But you can't make me believe that they're having this big event, knowing the tension between Claressa and Alycia Baumgardener and even Jake Paul and overall MVP, the things Claressa's had to say. And they're going to be bringing her there, and there wasn't a conversation about, the expected conduct. But we got to wait and see. But I'm telling you what happened here, Claressa, what she did was wrong. And I'm telling you, there's probably some internal reviews that are going on about this public incident. And there's a difference between public opinion and legal responsibility. And that's one of the biggest mistakes people make. They assume that what trends online determines what happens legally or what's already happening. The shit that's trending online means nothing when it's opinion. It does not. Public opinion can influence media coverage or reputational consequences, but it's not. Public opinion is not fact. You see, legal outcomes depend on evidence, applicable law, and the decisions of the relevant authorities on courts. There is a whole lot of evidence because it's right in your face. She had her own people recording, which is crazy. But it's kind of funny because similarly, a person can face public criticism without legal liability or legal consequences without widespread public attention. So when you talk about all these systems, they all operate independent of each other. You know what I'm saying? Now, I really do think that what we have here is a dispute. And it's a dispute between public figures. And it's resulting in legal action. Now, as far as the consequences, if any, it's going to go beyond the courtroom is what I'm anticipating. It already has. Claressa's reputation. It was already bad, but it's been decimated. Contractual obligations. I don't know this, but I'm just looking at the way they're moving her now and how she has this deal with Zeus and fighting on Zeus. Who knows if there are different contractual obligations she had that's been terminated now? You know what I'm saying? With different networks, etc. You just don't know. Then you got insurance requirements. She's probably seen as a liability now. And maybe that, you just never know if, in fact, somebody brought this up the other day. I didn't even think about it, that they may have insurance on Claressa. Or if there was, somebody may have canceled the policy because they don't want to deal with it no more. But if not, somebody may have taken insurance out on her, where if something happens to her, they get paid. Like, there are a lot of things, man, that we could be talking about here. In addition, you got to talk about workplace safety and future event planning of anything that involves her. She's not showing up anywhere because people don't want to see her. It's just crazy. But I'm just telling you this, man. Sponsors and broadcasters frequently consider whether continued partnership align with their business goals and public image. If someone's working with Claressa Shields, she's representing that sponsor. She's representing that broadcaster. I don't know this, but that could be why she's no longer fighting on the Zone. She's on the Zeus network. Because these other broadcasters, they're like, yo, does the partnership with Big Vote and Win Records, does that align with our business goals and public image? No. But I will say this, those decisions vary widely and depend on I would say the specific facts, the organization's policies and how the situation develops and what they really want to do. So I don't want to act like I'm speaking facts on all these things. That's what I say in my opinion. But it would be speculative to assume any particular company will or will not continue working with someone absent of any kind of public confirmation. And that's just being real. But when you look at the way Claressa Shields' next fight is going, you almost feel safe saying that there are different broadcast networks and stuff and sponsors for sure. They don't want nothing to do with her. Because now you see all of a sudden she's doing something different than she did historically. But sometimes, man, it's like I talk about all the time. People have to learn to listen more and talk less. And I had to learn to listen more and talk less. You know what I'm saying? And you can see that Alycia Baumgardener, she was probably advised to do a whole lot of listening and very little to no talking. Because that's what many attorneys would advise their clients. You're involved in a dispute, avoid discussing anything publicly. Because we don't want any inconsistent statements. We don't want anything to escalate. We got to protect our legal strategy. And we don't want reducing the chance that public comments complicate future proceedings. And that's why Baumgartner just got to sit back and chill and don't say nothing. That's one reason high-profile disputes can suddenly become very quiet after an initial burst of publicity. Like exact same thing what happened here with Baumgartner and Claressa Shields. You know, so when there's that absence of frequent public updates, that doesn't indicate necessarily inactivity. That just means that the lawyers have probably told Alycia, don't say nothing. But to be honest with you, regardless of whether legal action occurs, public incidents can affect how athletes are perceived. Claressa will forever be perceived as just a big bully who just wasn't liked and threw away their career. You know what I'm saying? And we talk about professional sports. Reputation influences many areas, including the sponsorship opportunities that Claressa Shields hasn't seemed to receive, promotional relationships, which she doesn't seem to have the best relationship with other boxing promoters, just her with Dimitri Salita and Win Records. Even look at the media coverage, people run to her, but it's really not about her fighting. It's more about the drama. Papoose. You know what I'm saying? And fan support, look, she just doesn't have that. She has maybe 2% of fans compared to, I'd say maybe 2% of people talking about her. That makes up her fan base. The other 98% of people talking about her are the people who don't like her. And that's just my opinion, man. I do a lot of lives. I listen to people, and that's what you get a straggler here and there who come and try to, be supportive over the other 98%. They ain't trying to hear it. That's because when you have public controversies, it's hard to build trust with the fans. You know what I'm saying? And then Claressa has destroyed her trust, so she's in a reconstitution phase. It's hard to rebuild it, especially everybody likes Alycia. Everybody likes Alycia. You know what I'm saying? They call her the champ. They call her the face of women's boxing. That don't mean I agree with all that, but I'll tell you what. It's easier to like her than Claressa Shields. But when I listen to the people talk, I'm telling you, if I talk to 100 people, 90 and about women's boxing, 98% of them say it's Alycia. So she got the people, man. And once you got the people, you got power. And I'm just telling you that. She doesn't have any issue as far as trust with the public. And again, there may be 2% of people who support Claressa and 2% of people who don't support Alycia. So Alycia has like a 98% support rate. Claressa has a 98%, I say approval rating for Alycia, and Claressa has a 98% disapproval rating. But that whole process is kind of, complicated, but that process unfolds. I don't know, man. I think it depends on many factors, including future conduct, competitive performance, public communication, organizational decisions. That's how I think it all unfolds. But the bottom line is that slap is going to cost Claressa. It's going to cost her. I'm telling y'all, it's going to cost her. And that's why when you get someone like Alycia saying, I'm handling this legally, the most reasonable interpretation is not to assume a particular outcome. Just let it play out. Sounds like she's chosen to rely on legal processes. She ain't trying to have no more public arguments. High-profile incidents often involve multiple organizations, attorneys, and business interests, and they frequently take time to resolve. Even Amanda Serrano, Chris has been aggressive towards her, and Serrano says little things, she says little subliminals, she won't say a name or anything, but we know who she's talking about. But you better believe all this back and forth with all of these women, all of that stuff is probably being rolled up into a legal strategy. But at the end of the day, for viewers and fans, the most reliable approach is to distinguish between confirmed facts, which we know what we have and what we've seen, and then we know what we haven't seen. You know what I'm saying? If the women don't come out and make a statement, I wouldn't believe it. But all these other reported statements about the cases closed and resolved and Alycia won, I don't know about all that. See, all this speculation, I don't deal with that. You got to avoid that speculation. Deal with the confirmed facts. The confirmed facts are Claressa slapped Alycia. Alicia's going the legal route, and now she's saying just watch. That tells me that the ball's in motion, and I'm watching. You know what I'm saying? There needs to be a clear understanding of both the legal processes and broader business realities surrounding professional sports and surrounding these women. Jake Paul has a lot to lose. He got to get this right. You know what I'm saying? They're putting together the facts. You know, when they roll out this case, and they're arguing on behalf of Alycia, whoever the legal team is, they are going to use Claressa's own words to paint her as this villainous individual, and she is going to lose and lose badly. You watch, it's going to be ugly. That's why Alycia, she's not saying a whole lot anymore, because she's been advised to be quiet. She did that live with that one guy, the content creator, talking about these H's need to stay off my P word and this, a bunch of. She was talking real slimy in that interview. But you see, since then she done toned that shit down, because I believe she's been told, hey, you need to just sit back, talk very little, because the legal action's coming. It is coming. Anyway, man, y'all keep cool. They're gonna handle this shit the right way. And I'm not rooting for anyone to win or lose. I hate that it's come to this, but I tell you what I hate even more is that Claressa went and put her hands on the woman. Alycia Baumgardener be chilling. I don't know if Alycia really beefing with no one else. I know she says some things here and there, but that's all women talk a little shit. Female fighters, women are emotional, man. But I don't know if Alycia ever being out here and nothing really nasty with any other fighters. You know what I mean? I'm not aware of that. And I've been following her for a while too, so I don't know if her being anything crazy. It's just the Caroline Dubois shit, but Tara Brown, she has some stuff to say about her, but nothing too crazy. But Claressa's always involved in something. But anyway, we're going to see how it plays out. The legal action is coming, and I don't think it's going to be nothing nice. Y'all keep cool. I'm in the breeze.